In any event, so yes, so just a short while ago, Bob had announced that he's running for the 4th District for Congress in Connecticut, and he's going to oppose Jim Himes. And I'll just say we hope you could do better than your predecessors who have not
I'll make it my business to.
really, Anyway, so tell us, all right, for the audience, we need to know a little about you.
Okay.
Where did you come from?
Where did it come from?
Who have you been affiliated with? Have you ever been a communist?
No, when I was in Queens College, I grew up in Flushing, Queens, and when I was down there, I used to keep a copy of an Ayn Rand book with me, and if the commie professors got out of hand, I'd hold it up like a crucifix in front of the Dracula. But anyway, no, I've lived in Fairfield for 30 years and student of history all my life, and when as things were deteriorating, and we got into the financial crisis, and then the election of Barack Obama and Jim Himes at the same point.
Yes.
We're getting total government, full force, and I came out to start a Tea Party group, which was called Right Principles at the time, and the Tea Party emerged and met many folks like myself across the state, and became an activist for a bit of time in the state, and one of the Tea Party leaders, I suppose. Over the years, I worked on a lot of campaigns, and ultimately I headed up Ted Cruz's presidential primary campaign in Connecticut in '16. And wrote a book a couple of years ago called The Seventh Crisis, which talks about this crisis and how it's been building, certainly here for decades, and trying to alert the millennials that they're going to have to stand up and lead us out of this. And so now here I find myself after 7 cycles of Mr. Himes. 14 years in power. We first started challenging him in the town halls in '09. Went into his office and talked to him about Obamacare, pleaded with him not to do that. Didn't listen. Challenged him on all of the debt voting he did. He voted for all the debt and deficits in the Obama years. When he came into power, the national debt was $9 trillion. It's currently $32 trillion. Mr. Himes voted for $20 trillion of that in a mere 14 years. He voted for every single debt package under Obama. Most of it during Trump's time. He did not vote for all of it, and everything in Biden. So it racks up to $20 trillion or $170,000 per household in this district. So I feel that the several hundred thousand citizens of this district who do not approve of Mr. Himes' rule deserve someone who will stand up and prosecute the case against him. And I cannot turn away. And so that's why I'm in it.
Okay, so just as a point of reference, if we look back on some of the past races, think of the people that you and I remember. The one who came the closest was Dan Devisello the first time he ran, and it's been downhill ever since. So if my memory serves me correctly, he came within 10,000 votes of winning, which is not a narrow victory. But in the meantime, just checking, the last opponent, Jamie Stevenson, only got 40% of the vote.
Yeah, she lost by 18 points. It's true. Dan Devisello in 2010 came the closest. It was Himes' first reelect. Devisello lost. Himes won at 54.46%. Ever since then, it's been double digits. We tried Steve Obsitnik, John Shaben. We tried the politicians, Devisello and Shaben. We tried the upstarts and outsiders, Obsitnik, Aurora, and Riddle. And then the experienced and personable Jamie Stevenson. And everybody loses by double digits. Himes wins the district because of the strength of the Democrat machine in the 3 cities, Bridgeport, Norwalk, Stamford. He gets a 20,000 vote margin in Bridgeport, 7,000 or 8,000 in Norwalk, a little more in Stamford, and that's how he wins. The balance of there's 17 towns in the district, 3 cities, 14 towns. The other 14 towns are always very tight one way or the other. It's not a significant margin either way there. When Himes defeated Chris Shays won 14 towns and lost to 3 cities by enough with the Obama tsunami, and that is how this man got into office. Hasn't answered a question honestly ever since. He just dances past it with all kinds of sleight of hand, false premise, straw man arguments. I will make it my goal to peel that veneer from him and prosecute the case against him. The key is to get in the cities. I will be in the cities. I'm going in. I have friends in the 3 cities, and we'll go in and we'll talk to people. We'll talk to the stakeholders, the property owners, the small business owners. There's not a property owner or a small business owner court in those cities that should be voting Democrat. Not a one.
Well, but they do.
They do, because they're echo chambered. The other aspect that has to be defeated here is Hearst Media.
Oh, yeah.
Hearst Media 5 or 6 years ago came into this district. There are 17 towns. They bought 13 of the leading town papers, 13 of them. They own the Stamford Advocate, they own the Norwalk Hour, they own the Fairfield Citizen, Connecticut Post, Connecticut Insider, Trumble Times, Shelton Herald, Darien, New Canaan.
You got it memorized.
Everything except Reading, Monroe, Weston, and Oxford. They bought them all. So, and what they do there is they have a small team of editorial writers. They write the articles, and then they sprinkle them out through all these town papers who retain the old mastheads, and everybody thinks they're reading the local news. They're not. They're reading corporate media, which echoes Himes. They actually take Himes's press releases on occasion, and you can see the same sentences flow right in to their articles. That has to be defeated. There are independent papers across the district: Connecticut Sun, Connecticut Sentinel, Connecticut Examiner, Continental Tribune, and others, smaller blogs. And I'm interested in finding about the ones I do not know about. I do know several of them, and I'm working. I've written for those major papers, and I need to get the word out through the balance. Also utilize the small radio stations in the colleges. Any other vector of communication I will utilize, because I have no illusions that the Hearst empire is going to do me any favors. And so we just have to, that's the challenge, is really get in the cities, because that is echoed in the cities.
What about voter registration drives?
Yeah, well, I'll need help there. There are people here in the district that really understand how to do that properly, and voter integrity and the rest. And it's a matter of motivating people. Hopefully I can get in front of some of these folks and get them enthused that they've got a candidate that's going to fight. We've got to put an army on the ground. I'm out 20 months before the election. I think that's
longer than anybody else.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. I mean, you at least have to be out a year before the election. Anybody that waits to the year of the election, you're already behind the 8 ball. So you've got to be out early, and there's nothing wrong with that. And this is the year where you go around and you knit together folks on your side, and you get to understand who the players are, and get people enthused, and you put that network together while you are exposing Mr. Himes. Now, I've been putting out an email each week, and there'll be one out tomorrow about Jim Himes and the banking crisis. It'll be out Tuesday, and I'll be putting one out every single week. He's providing a lot of material.
So, I mean, I would think enough investigation would reveal that he has his hand in quite a few pots, including the Silicon Valley Bank.
Well, the banks are the big support. The 2 biggest categories that contribute to him are the commercial banks in the securities industry.
Right.
And we know that he's an old Goldman Sachs guy. There aren't many candidates who have a video challenging their opponent, and I do, and it will be embedded in tomorrow's, where I asked him several years ago if he would pledge not to vote for any legislation that would call for a bail-in by banks, taking the depositors' money and confiscating it into equity. because that's done. It's been enabled in some banks have it written in this country. Canada's got it. They can just pass. They can just rule within the bank that if you had $100,000 in the bank, that suddenly $10,000 of that would be equity in the bank, and your deposit would be now $90,000 in order to rescue the bank. I asked Himes if he would pledge to us not to vote for such things. He would not. I don't do pledges, he said. So, and I got that on video. So the campaign will be robust. If you go to the website, which is bobmacforcongress.com,
right,
you will see videos of me taking him on from the floor of his town halls. You'll see articles I've written, and extensive positions. I have all my positions fleshed out. I didn't do the short one-liners to. I've got them all out there, so if they can have at it with me if they want. So.
Well, just to offer my opinion on this, having seen all these other people, for what it's worth, I don't think any of the other candidates we've seen, even Shaban, are anywhere near as knowledgeable or prepared as you are. So, Bob, what are your top 3 issues that you're fighting on?
Well, I mean, we want to return to constitutional government.
Yeah.
And we are not going to fight this on the playing field of the left. So, I mean, we need to secure the border. We need to get control of the money supply and get inflation down through, free market economics and control of the budget.
Right.
All right. Well, the debt, believe it or not, is one. Now we have a banking crisis. We're going to have to save the dollar. This is all coming home to roost. People don't realize that all that deficit spending is taken out of their hide in the form of inflation. All right? And then we have to secure the southern border, or we do not have a country. And then we have to, in addition, we have to get energy independent. They are pushing us towards electric cars and the rest of it, but they are not increasing generating capacity here. And if you look at your bill, if you get United Illuminating, they just doubled the generation costs. So the whole bill goes up about 40%, and if you have Eversource, it goes up 80%. Those are the issues. They are shrinking American life, and we have to take it back for ourselves. The middle class in this country works too hard, produces too much, to have their lives shrunken in front of them, not being able to travel the way they used to and do the things they want to. We don't need smart thermostats. We don't need smart appliances that are going to shut down when they want them to shut down. We have to fight back on all these fronts. We don't need a digital currency. They'll only control us some more with that. We don't need a digital medical passport either. So these are the things I'm going to be fighting for, and we certainly need to get control of the curricula in the schools, and the whole parents' right movement. I'm foursquare with them as far as non-sexualization of the kids below 18 years of age. Shouldn't have any of the stuff that's going on in there, nor the critical race theory being taught. They're only pitting the kids against each other. This is just an abomination, and we should be foursquare with the parents' groups on that front as well. So there's plenty there to draw a contrast with Mr. Himes and to put up a positive vision for going forward. Well, the issues will surface as time goes on.
Very true.
So
very true.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Court.